Another podcast to podcast bonus show is here. I took too much time off from this bonus series, but if you missed the last show with Izzy Baker and his PSA show, be sure to scroll down in the episode description so you can catch that. But for today, we're talking all things Wendy, and I noticed her supporting my IG page quite a bit. So I looked into her story, and she has an awesome podcast. So I thought it would be a great fit for this bonus series. The host of this show goes by Wendy, and I would like to now welcome you to That Entrepreneur Show.
Hi, Vicente. It's so good to be on the show today. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. For everyone tuning in, welcome to That Entrepreneur Show. This is the show that interviews founders of companies and brands from all around the globe each week since December 2019. We have Rewind the Clock bonus episodes, but we also have podcast to podcast bonus episodes where Airgist is a platform where Wendy discusses different topics and issues in the hospitality industry. It is created to educate and inform listeners from different events such as educational topics, life issues, relationships, music, lifestyle, and so much more. This platform allows people to discuss their views, experiences, and opinions about all of those mentioned above. She also does weekly shows, so she's hustling, and you don't want to miss any of them. That show description will be in the show bio. But Wendy, let's kick this show off. I previewed your show just a bit. Let's talk more about it.
Yes, so talking about my show, let me start from the inception. That is how I actually started my podcast journey. So I started podcasting during the lockdown. That was in May 2020. Yeah. So for me, I never actually had it in mind I was going to be podcasting. So, I actually work in the hospitality industry. I was the head of the front desk unit in a hotel. So, we were actually frontliners. Many hotels were still open during the lockdown because we had a lot of guests, indoors during that period. So, on this fateful morning, I was with my colleague and he said to me, "Can you please listen to this audio and give me feedback?" So I listened and I said, "Okay, it's actually fine." He said to me that he's gotten some kind of feedback that were not so good. So I listened also again. I said, "Okay, your voice is okay, but then let me give it a try." So I got his phone and I went on like, "Hi, this is Wendy. Today we're going to be having top 10 countdown of the music, blah, blah, blah." And that was it. And then we just recorded and he uploaded it online. And a lot of people we got a lot of feedbacks like, "When is the next show going to be coming on? Oh, this is so beautiful." And voila, that was how I started podcasting. But then the question was, what is it exactly I would like to talk about podcasting? I know hospitality is my thing. I love service. I love people. I love serving people. And the hospitality industry is such a huge one. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of people to meet. And then I decided this is what I'm going to do. Everything hospitality. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to explain to people, to educate them. And that is how Just with Wendy came about.
I love
So,
it. Yes. Well, a lot of people have either been in hospitality or, of course, go out to eat, go to hotels, all of these things. So your show is creating a lot of value, I'm sure. Please continue.
yeah, thank you. So, my first very episode was about mental health in the hospitality industry. And I know this is one thing that you also do, Vincent, talking about mental health. In this part of the country where I reside, or should I say in the part of the world where I actually reside, mental health is actually not taking so much popularity as it should be. Especially working in the hospitality industry can be a lot of responsibility, especially during the lockdown. I mean, people were actually depressed. People were going through a lot. And you as a worker in the hospitality industry, you've got to put on your best hat on. You have to be at your best every minute.
Mm-hmm.
How many employers are actually asking if their employees are doing very well? How are they doing? Are they good? Coming to work every day, listening to news, their loved ones dying, things going around. Some employers are just about to get the work done and not about their welfare or mental health. So I knew a lot of things were going around, and I decided to record something about mental health in the hospitality industry. It's a lot.
I
I mean,
love
people
it.
are actually breaking down. And then you have
Yes.
to smile and welcome everyone. Hi, you welcome to Susan's place. I'm here to be of help. And you also need help. You know, it's a lot. And it's received a lot of attention, a lot of comments. A lot of people opened up about what they face every day at work. And I went down to memory lane before I journeyed into the hospitality industry. I was actually working in the printing sector. You know, we do publications and all. I remember my head of business, because I was actually in the business development unit.
Okay.
And he would call me sometime and ask me, "How are you doing?" I love him. I love the fact that he's not just about work. He's concerned about you. It's not just about your productivity. If I am not very well, okay, I cannot be productive. Not a lot of bosses are care about you to that in that extent. So I said, yeah, I had to create that podcast to make employers, you know, business owners in the hospitality industry know that they can actually do better with their staff. It's not just about money making, them being there, putting on their lipstick, wearing their nice perfume, looking nice and good, making everything go well. But are they
Mhm.
really fine? So
I really like that
yeah,
that area you touched on, and we'll definitely chat after the show to see if you want to go on a mental health break, my other show. That is something, as someone who's been in hospitality in the past, it's draining. It's a tiring
yeah,
job, and you have to keep that smile on because that's just part of the game. And you really brought up a great point there. You certainly have a unique show. Everyone listening on, be sure to stick around to the end of the show to find out exactly where this show streams and to find more about Wendy. But Wendy, you've been on this podcast journey for a little bit now. What are your favorite parts of hosting a podcast? But before we get to that, and I am excited to share that this summer's episodes will be brought to you in part by speaker coach Cesar Cervantes, specializing in helping you get your transformative message to the TEDx stage. Guaranteed. To schedule your free brainstorming session, visit the link in the show description or CesarCervantes.tv.
okay, thinking about that. One thing is, anytime I'm about to record, I am always excited. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot for people to know. So that's one thing that I'm never a favorite person. Like, I don't really do faves. But that's one thing that actually it's an highlight for me. The fact that there's something for someone out there to know that they do not know.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to educate people about the hospitality industry. So that's one thing about podcasting for me. I'm always excited, and sometimes I do not even schedule. I mean, I actually do publish twice a week. Sometimes I might have recorded like four in a week. It depends. I just come on, and when I get it, I just sit and I record, and that's it because I do not want to miss it when it comes.
It certainly can help you escape just a lot. You know, for me, you get in the zone, you're recording, you're having a great time communicating with your other guest and just chopping it up, taking just all the stresses away of the day, just having
You
a
know,
conversation and helping people through our conversations. No matter what your story is, you have a story to share, everyone listening on, and you never know who you can help. But we just talked about our favorite parts of podcasting. Now I would love to ask you, because we know your episode touches on a few areas. What is an ideal guest look like for you? Who are you looking up for on your show?
okay, talking about my idea guest, for the fact that my podcast is actually largely around the hospitality industry, we still do some parts about, you know, the educational part of it, life, relationship. So if I find value in a person, and value can be relative. If I find value in what you do, you find value in me, else you have to bring me up. So if I find value, I can relate to what you do. And I believe that you're actually going to be a good value to my podcast, and not just to me. I mean, the thousands of people. I mean, my podcast has been to countries I've never been to.
Oh
It's gone
yeah.
across the borders. So there are
Amazing.
millions of people out there that can actually benefit from value of somebody. So why not? If not, So if I value in you, value in what you do, and I see that you can add value to my podcast, I will appreciate you for our podcast.
I love it. And same here. At first, there was no real goals with podcasting. It was just extend the brand, make a difference a little more. And then I started going to all these different states and I started going to all these different countries and realizing just how powerful your message can be. How, as I said before, the impact it has even on myself to be humbled enough to get my message out to countries like Australia and South Africa and all around the world when I'm here in Tampa, Florida, so far away. But thank you for sharing that. We talked about your favorite parts of podcasting, your ideal guest. We even talked a little more about your show. Let's help everybody out a bit here, Wendy. What are some of the more challenging areas of podcasting so that way we can help everybody else out on their journey?
Okay, talking about the challenges. I mean, it can actually vary, but let me be particular about me. Like, the question is about me. So, when I started podcasting, I started at work. I mean, right on my desk. And I have to do some editing. I had zero knowledge about editing.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first challenge for me. You know, when I go on talking, I'm very excited about educating someone with my knowledge and experience. But then I have to see it. How do I embed some instrumental music? How do I do this? How do I do that? So if you listen to some of my podcasts like 3 years ago and now, you will find differences in it.
Oh, my first couple episodes I'll listen to, I cringe, because I sound like a robot. I'm like reading and it's just
Exactly. And it got to a point, talking about you listening and you cringe, it got to a point I had to reach out to, some people in the industry, talking about people in the media. I've never had a media background.
Mm-hmm.
I am just naturally someone who enjoys doing what she does. So I have some people around, some professionals around me in the media. So I had to reach out to them and they give me some advices, some tips. Some go on the call with me and tell me, oh, you can do it this way. Sometimes they tell me, maybe you should script. And when I do the scripting thing, it seems like I'm reading news. Christian Amanpo actually sounds better than I do. I'm like, what is this girl? This is not it. And I have to delete. And then I go back to them and say, I can't do scripting because if somebody else is listening to me listening to myself, I don't find it interesting. So if someone else is listening to me, they will probably end it at the first few seconds. So I had to highlight what I want to talk about and then just do me.
I
That
love it.
challenge, I was able to overcome it.
Well, that's how I was in the beginning. It was full script. Now I just provide talking points and just go off a free conversation. I mean, now, because every episode is different, there are always some things I'm going to want to ask my guests no matter what. For these bonus episodes, I need to learn more about your show. I need to know what's hard for you. I need to know what you love. But everything in between is going to be so unique, and we're going to have organic banter just like this.
Yeah. So it's actually very relatable coming to challenges. Another challenge I had, or the year I had coming up in my podcast is recording, finding the right place to do this because it wasn't something that was originally planned. So I didn't have any podcast equipment. All I had was my phone or my laptop to record. Most of the time, I actually record from my phone. So I have to go to a quiet place and put my phone on my mouth and start recording. And then there is actually one of my podcasts where I talked about renting apartments in Lagos, Nigeria, where I live. Lagos is a city that is ever bubbling. I mean, Lagos doesn't sleep. So talking about renting a place, because I actually use my space to do my recordings. Most of the time when we want to rent a place, we are so particular about the amenities, proximity to where, to the bank, to the market, to the mall, to this and that. But then COVID changed a lot of things for us. A lot of people start working from home.
Yes.
We ended up being hybrid workers, And so I stay very close, not far from mechanic workshops. So I have to record. I have my office in my living room and I have to record. sometimes it can be very noisy. Then I started getting my podcasting equipment. I had to, someone actually gifted me a recording pad that is going to filter out noises. So I was able to get rid of that. And with my experience, I had to make a podcast out of it. Like, yeah, if you're renting apartments, aside from the fact that you're looking to electricity, good facilities, remember, life is happening. A lot of things are changing. Ensure that you have a space where, when things happen, you can easily, conveniently have business meetings. You can conveniently do a lot of things without distractions. So that's another challenge that I actually faced. Podcasting, and it's been better actually.
So you started your podcast in 2020?
Yes, please.
Yes, me as well. I started my first one in this podcast December 9th, 7th, 2019, and the second one was January 2020. COVID starts, everybody's home. I'm able to rock and roll. Where are you streaming in from today?
I am streaming in from Lagos, Nigeria.
From Lagos, Nigeria, here in Tampa, Florida, the power of the internet. All right, we're getting into some countries that aren't ours. Before I let you go, do you have aspirations of starting another show? Or are we sticking with this one? Let's talk about it.
That's actually a good question. Yeah, of course. I am actually looking into another show. I mean, there are a lot of ideas roaming free in my head, but then I have to actually balance it because consistency is key. I need to be consistent with anything. I love excellence a lot. So I am still playing with the ideas and still looking at it. Okay, which of these is actually coming on air soon. So something is coming up soon.
I love it. I love it. And I'd love to also know, do you have any other podcast shows that you want to show some love to? Any other shows that you listen to?
Yeah. So I actually love listening to Clyde Lee Dennis. 7 Good Minutes with Clyde Lee Dennis. I mean, that guy actually kicks me in. Not quite long ago, I actually had to listen to him. His voice, the way he actually passed across the message. Sometimes when I'm not motivated to do anything, as a writer, Vincent, writers actually encounter writer's block. Sometimes I'm motivated not to, I can't do anything. I get in that spot, nothing is coming in my head. Sometimes it could be personal issues, trying to steal away the shine. And then I have to just go listen to Kindly Dennis. And I'm off and
You
about.
mentioned something real quick there that we've spoken about behind the scenes, writer's block. We know you have a book on the way coming up at some point, huh?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I told you, yeah.
I can't wait for you to get that up and out. That way we can bring you on my YouTube series, Writing with Authors. But until then, Wendy, I want to thank you so much for collaborating with me across the world. It was a great time getting to know you. I look forward to seeing your continued success, your shows. Now, please let everybody know where they can find you and where they can find more about your shows.
Okay, so if you need to listen to any of my podcasts, you can reach me on Apple Podcasts, Airgist with Wendy, AIRGIST, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Overcast. I mean,
all major platforms she's on. And what about you? Where can they say hi to you?
Yeah, you can actually engage with me on social media at Instagram, Airgist with Wendy, no space, AIRGIST with Wendy. On Facebook, Airgist with Wendy. On YouTube, Airgist. You can also reach me on my website, www.airgist.com.
Thank you for sharing that. Everyone, be sure to go check out her show right now. And until then, we are at That Entrepreneur Show on Facebook and LinkedIn. All my podcasts are at Podcasts by Lancey on Twitter. And of course, IG and YouTube. That is Vincent A. Lancey. And until next episode, here on That Entrepreneur Show, we are signing off from Nigeria to Tampa. Thank you so much again, Wendy.
Thank you so much, Vincent. Had a very good time.